This is Kellen Cash for I Love JC Cafe, and today's special guest is San Antonio's own Jacob. What's going on, Jacob?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good, good. Now, Jacob, for those who may not know you, but they may, because you've traveled quite a bit. I mean, this is Ghana right here. Can you tell them kind of a little about your history, going from a group and then going solo, and just, give them a little run back?
Right, yeah. I was in a group called Soldiers, family group, and did that for a long time. We were on Warner Brothers and Word, and dropped our first album, official album, through them called Fault is History. Had some technical difficulties, I guess you'd say, with the label. They had a buyout situation go on where a lot of the people left the label, so we ended up losing our A&R and a lot of people that were working on our second album. So it just ended up not working out, and we split ties and kind of relaunched as another group called Washington Projects, which was just me and my sister. And then we dropped, I think, 3 albums to date under the Washington Projects flag. And then I had been working on a lot of solo material for just during that whole I guess 10 years of time, just all kind of stuff. And so I decided to kind of put together a solo project and just put it out there and see how it turns out. So that's where Faith, Hope, and Love came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you just go in and, I mean, were you born into the music industry? I mean, how do you just go get a deal like that as a young person?
Yeah, no, I wasn't born in. I mean, my family's not super musical. My mom dances a little. She loves urban music and stuff. But basically we started in the music thing accidentally. I think you could say it was kind of not something that was planned specifically. We were playing basketball. Me and my brother were getting ready to go to college, and we met a exchange student through our pastor, and his name was Moritz, and he came down and was all into music, and we had been kind of dabbling just for fun, in music, and eventually, one thing led to another, and he invited us out to his place in Germany to record an album, just to mess around and see what we could come up with. And so we went out there, and I think it was like 2 weeks time, and we recorded like our first album, like official album. It was like 17 songs or something, and came back to San Diego where we lived, and my dad just basically took the album over to ASCAP to try and get it published. He didn't know much about like what you're supposed to do, once you get a record done, and they ended up a lady there that her name was Shari Henry. She loved it and like really helped launch our career. Like took it to the CEO of Interscope at the time, and kind of got our first deal offered to us, but we didn't end up taking it. And so that's kind of our first intro into the scene. And then a couple years later, we ended up signing our first deal with Word.
Okay, so I mean, the American dream is real, where you meet somebody and they say you got to go to Germany.
Right. Well, yeah, and that wasn't, it was just like a spur of the moment thing, man. His dad had bought him a nice studio. He was all into music, and he had a great place to record, and we had a great opportunity to go. Some people at the church helped fund us getting out there, and and that was the start of it, I think.
Because that's an everyday thing, folks just fly you to Germany.
Right, it's an everyday thing. No, I mean, we were very gracious, It was a really cool setup how those people just got involved and helped, and so yeah, it was awesome.
And throughout the years of doing music, what has made you stay doing Christian music? Because I'm sure there's been offers to say, hey, if you go secular, you can get this and that.
Right. I think the biggest thing would be the reasoning behind it. Like we didn't get into music to be famous or anything like that. It wasn't a matter of trying to be the next big artist or whatever. It was just really a spur of the moment thing. So we had no real way of like I always, when people hit me up say, oh, great music, man, I love it, I'm always like, glory to God, because I can't, it's just something he just gave us to do. It wasn't something we practiced. We never practiced music. I never practiced producing. It was just, we just kind of dove into the whole thing, and off of a whim, and I really think God just kind of brought us there for a reason,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about how do you keep it Christ-minded? Because you hear a lot of music right now, and more and more God's not even mentioned, grace isn't even mentioned, and people will say, hey, just put your hands up, and that's a
Right. Well, I mean, I think personally I have my take is a little different than a lot of Christian artists, I think. one of the things that I like to do is just be as real and transparent as possible. And I've gotten heat for it, but at the same time, I've gotten exactly what I'm looking to get, which is people who are lost coming and saying, man, you're talking about stuff that's like I'm dealing with, and and then I'm going through in my life, whether that's a relationship, and a lot of times I compare it to, there's painters that are Christian, like, follow me real quick, but like artists that are painters that are Christian, they're not always painting a picture of Jesus on the cross. They may paint pictures of buildings, they may paint pictures of a couple in love, they may paint pictures of whatever. At the end of the day, it's about who that person is, who that painter is, and that is more of a testimony than I believe them just painting pictures of Jesus in every single painting. So I try to keep that theme of just I'm a Christian, whatever I'm writing about, whether it's a love song, or a song about addiction or whatever. I'm trying to come from the light of being a Christian and not really judging or per se like trying to make people feel something that they're doing is wrong or whatever. More of just like telling them what the word says, and just giving them what I've got from it,
Okay.
Yeah.
And somebody look at your life and say, you've been going to Germany, Iraq, Italy. Man, you had it good this whole time. I'm in a tough place, no money, no nothing.
Right,
I mean, can you kind of tell them about the struggle that you've had to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own road they got to travel. Like everybody's journey is completely different. I think I try not to compare journeys too much because everybody's is just so different, man. I mean, I'll find myself complaining, and then I'll read a story, complaining about my life or something that's going on, and I'll read a story about some kid who's traveling miles and miles just to get a bag of rice for his family or something, and so it really is, at the end of the day, it's a perspective thing, that you have to come back to. I think everything boils down to perspective. I say in one of my songs, success is a mindset, not a bank statement. I'm Bill Gates to some kids in Africa or some kids over here. Some people in the world, and that's all perspective, man. Like, yeah, I could say, and speaking as the person you're saying, like maybe saying, hey, you've done all this. That person can look at my life, and we can kind of escalate that up the ladder to people who've done more and more and more. So it's really not about what the person or people have done. It's more about how you view it, your perspective on life,
Okay. Where do you want to see Christian music go in the next, 5?
Where do I want to see Christian singers go? Man, I hope they just break through more into the mainstream media. I think the reason it's been so hard is because of a judgmental mentality. Like that's my take on it.
By Christians or by
by Christians.
Okay.
Like I believe that Christians, at times, so I don't want to say this wrong, but Christians at times
this
are
is Ghana. We want it raw.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Don't cut the words. You know what the publicist is saying, but give it raw and real.
Christians at times are the worst advertisers for Christ. Like we, a lot of times we put. I'll say most of the times we put our own feelings into what we're saying to somebody. We don't really think about where they're at, the position they're in, whether they're a prostitute, whether they're a drug addict, a drug dealer. We don't think about their position, what they went through, where their life has been. We think more of, oh yeah, they're not supposed to be doing that, so we're just going to kind of point fingers. And one thing I always say, I don't know if I read it somewhere or something, but we all sin differently. Like I believe that God looks at sin the same, whether it's whether it's a person who's killed somebody, and I'm being honest, I believe He looks at that the same as a liar, like in the sense of it being a sin. He's pure and He's holy, and He can't have anything to do with that. So at the end of the day, I just believe that we as Christians, especially musicians, since we have such a stance on telling people on a microphone about what Christianity is and what our lifestyle is, I believe that we are responsible and should be held to like a higher standard with how we love people. And my latest single or whatever was "Love Is All," and it was based on Mark 12:30-31, which love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, basically your whole being, and second is this, love your neighbor as yourself, and then he goes on to say there's no commandment greater than these. Like, to me, that is just, it honestly blows my mind that's like God saying there's no commandment. So out of that whole book, this is the biggest thing we should be doing is loving on people, like not judging them, always just being there to love on them and express that sacrificial love that God did for us. So that's what I truly believe. I believe when we as artists artists get more closer and in tune with that, I think it'll flourish. Christianity in general and just the message will flourish more, and people will be saved through it. So.
Now you're on tour right now. You guys are in the States.
Right.
You guys are going overseas, and then when are you going to Africa?
Oh, well, man, not on this tour. We're not going overseas. I would love to go to Africa, man. I've been actually talking with, there's a small online magazine called Yada Mag. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's online, and a buddy of mine's running it, named Harry, and they've been trying to get me out there. I'm not sure what the situation is, but we're definitely working on it. I would love to go out to Africa, anywhere, and just kind of, fellowship with people out there and do what I do. Yeah.
Okay, but because you've been to Iraq,
right?
Italy, Germany,
right?
Where else?
I think that probably covers the international side. I've been all around Germany, a lot of spots, just little cities here and there, and then Iraq, Kuwait, Afghanistan. We did a lot of stuff out there for a couple USO tours.
So you weren't too far off. You just needed to kind of jump in the lead.
Right, exactly. If I could have lined something up, you know what I mean? If you'd have hit me up, we could have worked something out.
Got you. Well, could you give us and leave us with one of your favorite anchor verses? Maybe help you get through those hard times, or maybe in those good times, just a strong anchor verse for someone out there who's just searching for that word and just needs a good word put on their heart.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you the call letters of the verse, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'm terrible at remembering verses. I admit it off the top.
As long as it's on your heart.
John 15:4-5 is one that really always connects with me. I have these chains that are like kind of my staples that I sell at tables and kind of just want people to be in tune with it. It's John 15:4-5 that's inscribed on it, and it's called a vine to branch chain. And it's like, to me, I keep it on. It just reminds me of who I am, and like whenever I'm down or whenever I'm lonely or hurting or whatever, it reminds me that I'm always connected. And it's it's a DI plug for guitar, so it's a music symbolism to always stay connected and to remember who you're connected to. So throughout your life, whether you're struggling with sin or pain or sorrow, you can always hopefully come back to remembering who you're connected to. God's the the vine and we're the branch.
Amen. Yeah. Well, we thank you for your time and whatnot during your concert. He's about to prepare and stretch and all that. This is Kellen Cash, and we are out. And I'm still recording, but if you could give us a drop.
Right, yeah, so what is the...
I love JC Cafe.
JC Cafe, that's it?
Yeah, I love JC
Cafe. Okay. Yo, what's up? This is Jacob, and I love JC Cafe.